Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. This is an ad hoc stream. Normally I stream Wednesday nights, but today I found the news very, very interesting. So I figured I would come on here and talk about this. You see from our actual title, is this a police state? We're going to look at that today. We are going to find out. Oh, I hear echo in my own phone. We are going to check out how much of a police state we are currently in. So if you guys are in Ontario, like I am, you woke up this morning and found out that you are under lockdown orders. So basically, if you're a healthy Ontarian right now, you are a prisoner. And you can't get out. There's no border crossing at this point. I guess you can still fly, so that kind of doesn't really count. But anyways, hey, Facts versus Feeling, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. Larry, hello. Gary. Larry and Gary, you guys are often here. Larry, you can't say sweet dreams right now, can you? It's not late enough. So anyways, I hope you guys are all doing well. And I hope you're not in Ontario. It's terrible. Like, honestly, I was ready for this. I was actually telling people, warning, this is the slippery slope we're going down. And I've been warning people for about a year now. And I said about a year ago, they're going to institute checkpoints in the cities soon. So I think we're about a few weeks away from that at this point. But I also said it's going to be full on totalitarian. And people are like, yeah, you're like hypo, whatever the thing is when you're too much like on the doom side. And I've watched out in the last year everything play out. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't even know how else to describe Ontario today than this is officially become now a police state. And just because you're going to be like, whatever, she's exaggerating, I'm going to read the definition. I actually wrote it down. This is what we're going to do today. Okay, so definition of a police state. Here we go. Hold on. I thought I was ready. I had the wrong page open. Okay, so it's a totalitarian state controlled by a political police force that secretly supervises the citizens' activities. And inhabitants of and it's funny because they call it inhabitants of a police state because you're not a citizen of a police state, you inhabit it. You're unfortunately there. You're not. Citizens have rights. So that's why it's called inhabitants of a police state, may experience restrictions on their mobility or their freedom of expression, which are subject to police monitoring or enforcement. So now I wake up this morning, Saturday morning, and I'm thinking, okay, I am now in a police state because it fits the criteria. So everybody in Ontario is in a police state. We all fit the criteria. We have restrictions on our mobility. So we're not allowed to leave our house unless it's for, and I think they gave like 4 categories, like medically related categories. So like you need to go get pills at the pharmacy or you need to go see your doctor. You need to go to work and you're an essential worker because if you're able to work from home, they said work from home. So you have to also be able to demonstrate that you have to be at your job. They've shut down almost all small business at this point. So this is the 3rd lockdown for small business. They are screwed. At this point, there is no economic recovery. So that's going to be state-controlled production soon of food, supplies, whatever you need, state-controlled. And we know that in terms of the freedom of expression, we're losing the battle on that one. So that's how we know now Ontario has become a police state. Very, very unfortunate turn of events. And I really try to understand what is it going to take to wake people up. So a lot of us, and there's a lot of people in the stream here who have been sounding the alarm themselves. A lot of people who follow me also have YouTube channels or DLive, whatever, right? And we all kind of interconnect that way. And a lot of us have been saying this for years now, if not longer. Some people have been on here for like a decade. But it's just absolutely crazy to actually wake up and be in a place where you can't leave your house unless it's like those 4 categories. Oh, the one other category is exercise. Like you exercise, very, very broad category, but that basically means if you're going on a jog or if you're going to go walk. But they've closed down the parks, they've closed down any public area, Crown land, everything's shut down. So you can basically go around your block and come back. So Doug Ford has said that that's okay. You can do that. Oh, thanks, Doug. Like, I really wanted you to run my life. When we all voted for a conservative government, we really wanted the conservative government to just run our life for us. Thank you. I don't have to think anymore in Ontario. This is great. Being hyperbolic on that one, guys. And obviously, you guys know that that is a little bit of sarcasm, because I'm trying to stay somewhat positive through this insanity that we're going through. So anyways, okay. I see a bunch of cool people in the chat. Just wanted to throw a couple of hellos out there. Jay for Freedom, hello. Love you. I really hope you're doing well where you are. Crit, of course. Trent, Adamental Hip Hop. So happy that you're all able to join us. Political foolishness. Look, if I miss anybody, I really hope you all don't get mad at me. Oh, Tassaniko, hyperbolic. That was the word. You put it on the chat and then I remembered it. Woohoo! Tassaniko's always here to help me with my words. Howard G, Son of Rambo. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, Boondock. I know a lot of people are really concerned about the UK as well. And I think the UK is in the same scenario we are. GDR Maker. Larry, I said hey to you, Larry, at the start. But anyways, super, super happy that you all can be here on the stream today, even though it's not super great news that I'm reporting. Rob, I would love to be a refugee in the US. I think a lot of us Canadians will. It's so funny because y'all worried in the States, like I sound like I'm from Louisiana. See how I can be a US citizen? I could fit in, guys. But y'all in the States are worried about your southern border, and you have the right to be. But I think in the next 10 years, you're going to start being concerned about the largest unguarded border, which is at your north, because we are going to be heading down there en masse. I think a lot of us here are really concerned about how it's going, and we're thinking about alternate states. It's funny because my son, who's 6 years old, has like crazy ideas, and he doesn't ever stop talking. And he came home from school when school was still open, because it's not anymore. Kids are not going back to school. But he came home from school and he's like, Mom, I am the president of Cheeseland. And I thought, you know what? That sounds like a really cool place to live. It's way better than Ontario. And I was like, what do you guys do in Cheeseland? He's like, well, we make flavored cheese. And I'm thinking, yeah, I bet a lot of people in Ontario would like to move to Cheeseland. And I think my son, who's 6, would actually do a better job than Doug Ford, to be actually honest. Doug Ford, I don't know what is happening with that guy. It's been the bait and switch, the Doug Ford. And I'm going to be honest, I actually voted for him because I thought at that time that the Conservatives were conservatives, and I hadn't realized yet that the Conservatives are really just liberal. So he campaigned on all that. He campaigned like, we're not liberal light, like we're actual conservatives. And it turns out it's all a joke in Canada. Unfortunately, there's no 2 parties anymore. There's no checks and balances. This is why a conservative government is actually able to bring in full police state measures at this point. Absolutely insane. So, okay, let's cover that a little bit, the whole police state. So yeah, Cheeseland sounds great, right? Anybody else want to move to Cheeseland? We will have passports and borders, but we won't have vaccine passports. Haha. Oh my gosh, I said the bad word. Is YouTube going to kick me out? They might. If YouTube kicks me out, guys, please go find me on DLive. I'm under the same name everywhere. I made it easy. Go find me there, because I did get my little bad girl. YouTube was like, Julie's been a bad girl, and they banned me for a week. So I'm able to go back on there now, but there's certain words that you can't say, and I said it. They might get me off of that. I'm not doing medical advice, okay? No medical advice. So anyways, okay, so the police state, the Charter of Freedoms in Canada guarantees our freedoms, but then there's these new measures, the medical measures they're trying to push through that they say are temporary and kind of supersede that. So it's like, well, you have your freedoms until there's a pandemic that happens, then you don't have your freedoms. That's kind of the angle they're going. But realistically, the Charter of Freedom still talks about your rights as a citizen. So you have the right to not be searched when you leave your home. And this is unless the police has a valid reason to want to need to search you. They can't just go out and do random checks. That's not the law. The law in Canada says if you're just out and about and the police has no grounds to search you, they can't. And that is where that kind of gray zone is coming in. And I find that in that press release that Doug Ford did, I don't know if you guys watched it. It was a joke because like, I don't know how these people it's like their IQ is like room temperature all the time. I don't understand how they're leading us. They are sitting there, 4 of them in a row. Their questions are coming in. They're taking off their mask, answer the question. All your things are going through, like this bad, like the bad COVIDsky disease is like going through, and then they put their mask back on, and then the person next to them takes the mask off when they need to talk. I'm like, am I the only one looking at this going like, you guys look like a bunch of clowns out there? Why are we doing like honestly, even like the protocol around masks says as soon as you touch your mask, you're supposed to discard it. That's like 40 years of science behind masks and how surgeons are using it. If they touch their face, that's it, right? So anyways, Gary, you went over to DLive. Awesome. If I know DLive is a little bit, they also gave me a few slaps on the hand for being a bad girl on DLive because I talk about things that they don't want me to talk about, but they're not as bad as YouTube for now. And as soon as I can find, like, I'm waiting for Rumble to open up live stream. I don't know if it's available yet on Rumble. I check every few days to see because I do want to stream on there, but I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know. But anyways, okay. So what else? So this is where my brain goes when I wake up in a police state, which I did this morning. So this police state is caused because so far we have 700 people in ICU, COVID-related cases, we are told. So to shut down the entire province and take away everybody's freedom of movement, freedom to just feel safe, right? Because now I go outside and I'm a little stressed out. I'm like, what if there's cops here? What if the neighbors call the cops on me, right? For XYZ reason. I cringe at interacting with cops. Now, this is what these kinds of measures are doing to just normal people. But imagine where this can go. 700 people, we can't handle that in the ICUs. This is, first of all, an example of how awful socialist medicine is. So if you weren't convinced before that our healthcare sucks, now you will be. And this is a result of socialist medicine. So the answer is always going to be private, go private, private business. It's always going to be that. Anytime you have government running anything, it ends up in a disastrous, terrible loss for everybody involved. So they're trying to pin this on the medical world needs your help, oh my God, we need your help. First of all, if you look on the comments of a lot of YouTube channels for the last year, you would know that a lot of nurses were inundated because there wasn't enough demand. After they shut down the hospitals and they put the fear of God and the fear of COVID and everybody, nobody is going to hospitals anymore. So they actually did have a lot of hospitals that ended up having to cut their staff. So that's the first thing, but they're not telling you this. You hear that if you scroll through comments and listen to nurses and doctors admitting that in comment sections, and a lot of people are doing that. So there's that issue. Now they're saying we need to lock all of Ontario down because there's not enough capacity in the hospitals to absorb our made-up prediction model. So basically, Ontario, this is who we're run by. Ontario's like, all right, guys, get me the glass ball, you know, like the future ball, right? Like, what are they called? Oh my gosh, Tasanico, what are they called? The crystal ball. There you go. Crystal ball. And they're like, okay, we think our predictive model, not based on actual facts, predictions. We predict up to 20,000 cases. So in order to avoid that and have that on our healthcare system, we're going to shut you down now. Before it happens, we're going to shut you down. I've said, I always talk about precedent. If you've been on my channel before, I talk about always setting the precedents, and they do that. They set precedents. So next time it can be, oh, we're really concerned about climate change, so therefore you need to be locked up again under the climate change banner this time. Now it's under medical, next time under that one. Then it's going to be under, oh, we think the dinosaurs are going to come back. Our models predict dinosaurs will reemerge on Earth, and therefore we need to move everybody to Australia. So we're going to relocate everybody to Australia because we think the dinosaurs are coming. Like they can be anything. I can do anything on predictive modeling. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So instead of waiting and dealing with the reality, they deal in crazy land. They just which should be called COVID land, really, at this point. But they're just basing all of this. So lockdown, whatever. How many are we in Ontario? What, 13 million? I don't even know. Whatever, lock all those people down because we have 700 cases of COVID-ski in the ICUs. I mean, not only close everything down, but take their freedoms away, make them afraid of the police because we've now given insane powers to the police. And then on top of that, we're going to restrict the borders. So you can't cross borders. I bet you can still come illegally through Roxham Road, right? I think that one is still open, but we're closing the border to Quebec and Ontario and Manitoba. Those borders are closed, but we're going to allow the flights to keep coming in. Like all these nonsensical things. And part of me is like really happy about this because I'm thinking this is what's going to wake up people. This will be the time where Canadians go, wait a second, we're locked in our homes for 700 cases in the ICU. That just means our medical system sucks. It doesn't mean you have the right to take away my freedom. You can't take my freedom away. It's all about like, let's fix the medical system. I'm hoping. So part of me is kind of happy about the lockdown, not for the reasons that I'm happy it's a lockdown, but for the reason I think maybe this will wake up people. And now's the time to wake up, guys. We've entered the police state phase in Ontario. They're looking at modeling this for every other province in Canada. So this needs to be, and they're not going to go after Alberta first. Like next, it's going to be Prince Edward Island, maybe Vancouver, BC, because all the people in BC are, not all, a lot of them tend to be on board with this liberal government kind of attitude. So maybe, but Alberta will be last. Like when everybody else is converted to a police state, Alberta will be surrounded. Essentially, all the Albertans will go down to the States. That's what's going to happen. Or they're going to close their border and say, we divorced from Canada. We're now Alberta, standalone Alberta, no Canada. I don't know what's going to happen, but honestly, hopefully this is going to be what's going to wake people up. But I wanted to turn your attention, and I'm going to share a video here because I wanted to show you the language that's being used. So language is ultra important. As you know, I have spent a large part of my life studying these totalitarian governments. And I pay very close attention to the language that they use. And I have now recognized the communist language in, I don't even know her face here. What's her name? I'll show you guys. Hold on. She has started with this whole, this girl, I don't know her name, but she has started with very, very alarming language. How she talks is how people in totalitarian environments who are at the start of the totalitarian state are trying to bring about these changes and make it seem all normal. This is how they talk. So let me just play this. I'll stop it a few times so I don't get some kind of a of a thing from YouTube. But let's just look at it. I've queued it up for you guys. Okay, so just give me 1 second here. Can you guys give me a thumbs up in here if you can hear?
So by issuing these new additional enforcement measures, it allows police officers to ask the person why they are not at their place of residence and what their place of residence is. And specifically to your question, if you are not willing to comply, then you are breaking the law. And there is an option for the police officer to issue a ticket. Thank you.
Follow up?
How much is the ticket?
Okay, I'm just going to pause it for now because I can't play something very long on here before I get a strike. I'll be on strike too if I do that, and I don't want to do that. So anyways, you can hear that. So that was the first question, as to what kind of police powers do we have now? Now, you saw she touched her mask a whole bunch of times. Do that in a surgical environment and you would be fired, because the protocol is you should never touch your mask and then take it off and put it back on. You're supposed to put on a brand new mask with clean hands. So anyways, just to say, and by the way, speaking of those masks, we've been wearing them in Ontario since last July. So clearly it didn't work. So can we stop wearing the masks now? Are we going to get that freedom back? The freedom to just have a face? Or is that, well, like, so, but this is what I mean when I tell you the totalitarian people, they take inch by inch, day by day, power from you. And they never give it back. Even when the original reason for taking the power is no longer there, they're just like, oh, well, this is just the way it is. You never had that in the first place. This is just how it is. This is how the communists did it. This is how China did it. This is how the Nazis did it. If you guys were on my Nazi live streams where we talk about the dangers of how they progressed their ideology within Germany, you know this. We've gone through this. So anyways, okay, let's keep going on this.
Also, if someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing, should people call police on their neighbors?
Should people call the police? Whoever this guy is, amazing. Great question. I hope that he gets some kind of a promotion for having courage, because this is not typically a question that you would hear in this environment. But check out the answer. And this is where the language is very important. She is going to speak to you like a communist spoke to their people. This is at the start, because when they don't have the full power yet, they can't just go out and kill people. This is how they start at the start of a totalitarian regime.
So in terms of the ticket cost, that of course is set by the Chief Justice. Currently, if you break an order under the EMCPA, then it is $750, as I understand it. In terms of people calling to snitch, to inform, look, we all have a personal responsibility, and I would hope that the vast majority of us would take that personal responsibility seriously. When we see the ICU numbers rise, I would hope that people would take a second thought and consider their neighbors, consider those healthcare workers who have been working incredibly hard over the past 12 years. I'm never going to encourage people to inundate the bylaw enforcement or police departments with calls, but if it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home. Thank you.
So what she just said in very fancy, polite, calm sounding words is, you better submit or else. She didn't say you should not be calling the police. She said you should not be inundating the police with those calls. How, like, what? It's almost like BSing your way through everything. You know how like some people are really good at that? They can literally say a whole bunch of words and none of it means anything. This is one of those examples. This is probably why she has the job, not because they're doing a good job. And I don't even know who this girl is. I don't care at this point. I don't care who any of these people are, because I care about what they're saying to me. And I don't care what job she has. The fact that she's saying to us, personal responsibility, it's not personal responsibility. It's the government told you to stay at home. Therefore, you need to submit to the government's dictates, their mandates. There is no personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is something that is completely outside of government, has nothing to do with the government. It's, hey, in my job, if I don't get up and go to my job every day and show up and do a good job, I'm going to get fired. That's personal responsibility. It's like, okay, wait, I had kids. Now my job is to be a good mom to them. That's personal responsibility. There's no government coming in saying, you need to be a good mom. You need to show up at your job at 9 a.m. every day. Like, there's none of that. It's actually me in my life taking decisions so that I can be as successful as I can. That's what personal responsibility is. It's personal responsibility, not government. She's trying to pin it on personal responsibility here, but absolutely insane. So de facto now, and that's not even de facto. Before we were kind of a de facto police state. Now we've moved in Ontario into an actual police state. So if this doesn't scare you, like, we shouldn't be afraid of COVID anymore. COVID is past. This is not the scary thing anymore. This is the scary thing. Today, the 17th of April, the first day of me living in an actual police state in my own country, which is supposed to pride itself on freedom, that is what I'm afraid of at this point. I was worried about it before because it was slowly creeping in, but now I'm full-blown worried because this is what's happening. But I don't want to be all like negative on the stream. I feel like it's such a depressing time, and I'm like, oh my God, how do we not be so negative all the time? So I wanted to show you a few more things. This article here, many police forces won't use new COVID powers to conduct random stops. This right here shows you people, the cops, a lot of them are on our side. They don't want this. They didn't sign up to enforce these drastic measures. They didn't sign up 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago to do this to us. So very, very good news. This is amazing. I saw that Derek from Reds, he had posted on YouTube, on Facebook yesterday, a tweet from the Toronto police that said the exact same thing. They're like, look, know your rights. We're not going to go out and enforce this. You have the right to answer any of our questions if we don't have probable cause to stop you. And just being out of your house is not probable cause to stop a citizen, right? Or what are we called under a police state? We're not a citizen, we are an inhabitant. So the inhabitants of Ontario who now are getting stopped by the Gestapo, they're not going to be, a lot of the police force does not want to do this. This is not what they signed up for, and they see the dangers of this. There are some people, some officers, because every profession has their super crazy psychopaths. So yes, there are going to be a couple random police officers across the province who are going to love this. They're going to be like, all right, I'm going to go and stop everyone I want, like kind of like power tripping. And they might do this. But for the vast majority, it seems like police officers in Ontario are not interested in participating in this. And that is not our saving grace, because I think there's lots of small saving grace pieces that are going to fit. But this is one of the reasons why we may not go down the full communist path. This is one of the reasons. The cops are saying, whoa, no, y'all crazy. This is not policing anymore. They recognize this as a police state, and it didn't take long at all. This was posted this morning. So it's funny because when I listened to that stupid press conference they had yesterday with this chick, I was like, oh God, like, what is happening? And I like to take time to think about things before coming and doing live streams. Like, I'm not, you guys know this, I'm not super reactive. I'm not super comfortable if I don't understand what's been going on. So I do a little bit of research before. And I woke up this morning and I thought, I remember from my university days when I studied police states, I'm like, I think we're in a police state now. I think Ontario is. So I researched it, and of course, it turns out that we are the definition of a police state now, and a lot of police officers don't want to do that. They don't want to go after citizens for leaving their home. So amazing, amazing news. The last time that people were outside of their house and had curfews and things like that, normally it happens during times of war. It's normally done by an occupying force. So, for example, the German Nazis occupied France. and they instigated curfews. In some of the places, curfews were because a lot of the bombings would happen, so they wanted people out of the streets and they wanted them into their cellars or their basements. So a lot of curfews happened because of that, because there's rules of war, and you can't just bomb cities whenever, although a lot of these rules are often broken. I'm not saying they're perfect, but a lot of these rules are broken. So, but for the most part, there are rules of war that you're supposed to not attack citizens. So they would try to do things like curfews so that they would know there's a bombing or there would be an alarm and then whatever. So, but that's the whole point, is that's when you have curfews. You have curfews when you don't want people out. The reason you don't want people out is because you don't have enough people to monitor everybody, so it's just easier to keep everybody home. So anytime you have curfews, lockdown orders, it's because they're trying to control your movement. This is not about COVID-19. This is not about anything else. At this point, it's about they want to control you. And we have multiple examples of places that don't have these lockdowns and things are going fine. We don't want that. We don't want to look at that. And by we, I mean the media. So right now it's the big three. I don't know how else to call them. The big three. It's the health officials, the politicians, and the media. So all big three are they're all like having a big party right now at our expense. They're all deciding, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then the rest of the population just has to go along with it. Again, a very dangerous precedent, right? Because now it's been the doctors have said this. The doctors say, okay, and by the doctors, I just mean the ones paid by the government to say these things, because all the other doctors who are saying anything else are being they're being kicked off all platforms, and some of them are being fired. So that's the state we are. But all of these, like these health officials paid by the government are now recommending these atrocious freedom removing things to the government. And the government's saying, yeah, okay, sounds good. Like, gather up the media. Thankfully for us, we have a few people in the media that are still trying to do a good job, like that guy who asked the question, are you supposed to snitch on your neighbor? Perfect question, because that forced her to get out her fancy commie words to try to hide the idea that, yes, they want you to call the police on all neighbors because you have responsibility. It's almost like double talk by her saying personal responsibility of you not going anywhere. It means the people who do go somewhere have not taken seriously their personal responsibility, and therefore it's your job to call them because that's your personal responsibility now. It's insane. Like, this is the double speak of commies. It's insane that this is in Ontario in 2021. I never thought I'd live to actually see the day this is happening. So anyways, it opens up the door to far, far worse things to come, unfortunately. And it's going to crash. Something is going to give eventually. I think Doug Ford has sealed his fate with this one. He's never going to be reelected. He's going to be like one of those disgraced politicians in the future. And it's just so sad because Ontario did have a lot of hope. We just got rid of Kathleen Wynne, who almost demolished destroyed our province, and now we have this. It's people are almost thinking that Kathleen Wynne may have been better because at least she wouldn't have interfered as much. But this, anyways, this is absolutely insane. All of this for a healthcare system that we didn't have in good shape before. Everybody in Canada knew that there's no way in Canada we can handle anything. The way the socialist medicine works in Canada, paid for by the taxpayer, but it means that it's mismanaged at every level. And there are extremely long wait times when you go to a hospital. There's delays in surgeries. You have to wait like whatever it is, like 2.5 years to get hip replacement surgery or some stupid things like that. Rich people just go to the States to get their stuff done in private clinics. So we already knew in Canada that healthcare system was failing. We knew it. We talked about it. We've been complaining for years about the wait times. If you go, I went to the hospital once for a broken foot, and I waited about 10 hours in the emergency room before I was even seen. And that was just to get the radiography done on my foot. I had to wait 10 hours. And then you go get your radiography, then you wait another like 4 to see somebody, a doctor. This is how it works. So it was broken before. And now they're using that excuse that it's, oh, now we can't reach capacity. We can't be at 100% capacity. It's all going to collapse. Yo, dude, it was collapsed before. It was already bad. So it just means, and it shows you, socialist medicine doesn't help anybody. It doesn't work in the end. What if this had been like a massive like earthquake or something, right? And there's 6,000 people in Ontario that need help urgently, all of a sudden like that. Our healthcare system couldn't have handled it, but do you think it's okay to take away everybody's freedom because there's an earthquake? So now stay in your homes? No, it would never have worked. But the reason it worked with this specifically is because they took, over the last 14 months, they took our rights away slowly, one by one, slowly. And so the boiling frog theory comes into play. You didn't realize how much of your freedom was being taken away until you end up one day where you wake up like me, April 17th in Ontario, and I have a police state where a police can actually stop me in the street for the crime of being outside of my house. And they can question me, and I'm supposed to answer them. So anyways, just completely insanity at this point. The state of Ontario is bad. It's really bad. I know a lot of people say, get out if you can. It's true, but a lot of us can't get out. Where do you go? We can't go. It's not easy like that to just get out. So anyways, yeah, it is complete tyranny. Complete tyranny. I'm almost at a point where I'm running out of ways to try to explain it. I just don't know. Like, I feel like I'm repeating myself. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I am. Who knows? But yeah, it's only going to get worse from here. And when you think about how it's going to get worse, the next step in this insanity is going to be some kind of an app tracker that you must get if you're to leave your house. So it could very well go there. They said in a press conference, oh, if we do this, you will get your summer back, because they're promising something. So every time you hear a politician say, you'll get your summer back, it really means, oh no, we're planning to lock you down in the summer too. So that's the next step. It's going to be some kind of an app, a bracelet, kind of like for criminals when they have a house arrest, to allow you to leave your house. Probably going to be something like that. But that's the next step. And because we got there so incrementally, because it took so long for us to get here, and it was death by 1,000 cuts, people will probably accept it. A lot of people will probably accept it. So yeah, it's not looking good for us in Ontario. And I really hope that the stronger provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan, that you guys don't go down this route and you fight. Maybe we can move there. Maybe us freedom lovers from Ontario and Quebec can move over to Alberta and have our own little land. Or we could go to Cheeseland. You're all going to go to Cheeseland? The greatest place on earth. So anyways, okay. That's it for me, guys. I just wanted to come on and do this quick stream about the craziness. I might just do a few more as I see this progress to try to warn people. But anyways, we'll see. And Wednesday, if you want to join me on the Wednesday stream, we're going to go into 1944, which is where Victor is in Germany. He's my guy. I've been following him since 1933. A lot of you have been on those streams as well. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to look at how crazy it is in 1944. We know that we are now at 1941. Equivalency, loss of rights, we're like roughly at the same stage now in 2021 that Germany was in 1941. So just for a reference, and my goal with doing those streams is to make sure that we understand the tyranny escalation and how governments get so much power right under your nose. They just take it, and people just don't really do anything until it's too late. And at that point, if we get at that point, there is no discussion possible. It becomes all out civil war. And I'm trying to prevent us from getting there because YouTube's probably going to try to say, oh, she endorses violence. No, don't endorse violence. I'm trying to get people to be awake before we get to the violent stage. So hopefully that's going to work. But anyways, love you all. Thank you so, so much for joining me today on this stream. And I hope to see you Wednesday, guys. So cheers. Have a good day. Have a good lockdown if you're in Ontario. Don't go out. Just kidding. Go out. The police won't stop you. All right. See you later.